Did everybody like last year? Last year, Timothy Delgado. Last year, COVID-19. Last year, us all knowing the same thing about us being cringe, but for it literally transitioning to it being dank. Well, how do I feel about this year versus last year? Okay, so let me tell you something. Okay, so last year, a revelation happened. What happened, as I stated in several videos, is literally me and society got turned their corner to where people have unrealistic expectations. What started happening and what I added on to was I was an internet celebrity and I commented what was already happening. So what happened is people got the wrong interpretation of me, and what happened was I ended up being Timothy Delgado by force instead of my goal. You see, a lot of things I learned this year was really what I learned last year was necessary. So last year people start clowning on me, oh, Eris, this and that. Like literally freaking, it's people like you who don't have COVID. It's people who we give reasoning, but literally as no reasoning, but it's as no reasoning because I want you to understand that this is bait. I want you to understand that this is how you turn into Bright Rock. It's like, well, I want you to understand that it's not just me. If you could have the power to go somewhere else, I'm gonna take advantage of you here right now. Okay, so if that's true, then how come you can't see me inside? What happened was literally, what started was literally, women started having unrealistic expectations. It wasn't just women, and those women literally bred children that think like fucking, machines that can't comprehend the personality. What would happen is literally, you would tell somebody, yo, if you want to get a girl, you gotta have a personality. What's gonna happen is literally, when you say personality, if they don't know what personality is, which is very funny comment, and like literally, what happened? When you say personality, they're like, what is personality songs? It sounds like an action song. Like if you say muscle memory to them, they'll get fucked. Like talk to a kid that's like 10 and say muscle memory, they're gonna get fucked. Literally, like, do you know what muscle memory is? Like, you're gonna get fucked. Do you know why? It isn't about that example per se. What happened was, the reason why I blew up last year was because of those consoles, because women have unrealistic expectations. So there was this thing called MGTOW I got into a couple years ago, not 2, but 3 years ago, back when I got my job, and I realized that there was this thing that based up, and this shit blew up as soon as I got a job all of a sudden, because I was famous. What I was doing is I was doing work for rappers, but I was a weeb, and what was happening is the rappers use, me, I'm an anime fan, I like otaku, I collect action figures, I use stuffed animals, like, fucking, I love Dragon Ball Z. So what happened was I ended up, being a ghostwriter. I ended up being the nerd that writes lyrics, but for rappers that are in my local area. But I didn't write for mainstream rappers, so I couldn't get money. You get what I'm saying? So I was known as literally the understandable guy. And what happened was we went from this community, literally a community that rose specifically off, what's on paper, and literally no confusion on paper. You see what they do is they'll present the paper and like, yo, read the fine print. This is the fine print already. So like what we do is we read the fine print and stuff like that, so we know everything about it. So when someone presents to us and say from us something, if we have a human instinct, our fucking cybernetic instincts are gonna attack it. And they're gonna attack because they don't know how to analyze it. You're like, freaking. So what happens is a computer goes from a computer to a dog, and a dog doesn't know where it's at. And so it's looking for this, that, it's looking, so its mind is looking for shit in the room that isn't there, that you think is there based off shit that you've seen before, because we've trained a kid to think like a Illuminati conspiracy theory. Nothing fucking matters, this and that, but not everyone. New generation is cool. So what I did, over time is really, I brought, all of a sudden we went from no fucking soul to something that we understand soul, but a dying world. We understand that it's a dying world, but what we did was we forgot about, the world as a whole. Like, what is the world? And what the world was, and subconsciously we all heard, this is the world. What happened was I put this, how I blew up in general was I put this anime character as a rapper, and this anime character represents the Pharaoh. I know you want me to say Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'm not gonna say the rapper's name. So like, so I put Yu-Gi-Oh, and the rapper had Pharaoh in his name, and I blew up on Instagram. So like, literally what happened was we went from women having unrealistic expectations to women not being able to meet the expectations of anime. You know what I'm saying? Because when I would show like really rappers like AMVs, they would talk about them more than women, and then they would figure out pulling women on the side, and then the people that they put on who get paid for rapping, who I make AMVs for, harass those women. And we were like, I was absorbed by all this. I'm like, dude, why is it ghetto, but we can just, because cringe and ghetto were intertwined at the time, because what I did was I did something severely dank at a time where we had nothing but cringe, where really we didn't even see the point of AMVs. What we started to do is we started to adapt to hip-hop, but we weren't elaborate about hip-hop. Like what we did is we applied anime to hip-hop, but we applied it in a way of a square. Like we were, instead of like like actually like, you know, having the anime characters go all out, you know, fucking make fan animes like, hey, I want this anime character to dance. I want to learn how to draw. I want him to do this specific dance that I learned from this guy instead of that elite. But what's going on before I dropped that was literally, they would make these talk videos and they would be really elaborate about what they were talking, and they would be literally fucking food for grown ass adults. But what if I told you those grown ass adults like literally were hella fucking good at what they're at, but they misjudge girls? Because there's this thing called multidimensionality that women can't give you if she doesn't have an extended mind. A woman is only as good as her mind and how she comprehends things. You gotta say, you don't want a dumb girl that can't comprehend what you're saying. So like basically, because guys grew up with that concept, is like literally they started going all out in intellectual things like anime, Greek mythologies, and so it became okay for us to be like old and watch Steven Universe. We started watching Castlevania. That is all to let you know that we live in a mature and understanding generation online, but not a mature and understanding generation in real life. We're really rational online because we have references on top of references to get us prepared for bullshit. So like if we had no more eyes, we wouldn't tolerate it, but because they fill us up with shit to expect, what happens is they surprise us because they put shit in our membrane, whether we like it or not. We have to think what they're doing is just having the same shit over and over again. So like literally we're connected to this shit, but like literally what would happen like literally if somebody took what this kid was doing with the anime and the music and he didn't make it look like shit, but he gave you something to consider. What happened was literally they knew I was a Mac, but they knew I didn't have resources. So I'm like, what's the whole point of a girl if I can't literally, if I'm struggling? Because I got girls at the time I was struggling, so I had to put stuff before them. So like literally MGTOW was a thing in general. So once I realized that girls do this to men, MGTOW was a thing when men talk about their problems online. And I never really had a girlfriend. I have many girls and stuff, but I never had a girlfriend because of the environment I grew up. It never let me have one, so I never had the chance. But then they created this thing called MGTOW. Like, you know what, when you get a girlfriend, you know how you feel like she's gonna get attached to you the more she hangs out to you? She's gonna get used to you the more she hangs out to you because her expectations of on TV and stuff like that. So what you're doing with this real shit is only doing shit that's not, because she's trained off that shit, but she sees people do other shit. So she sees all these niggas do fake shit, so she assumes that you do that shit. That's how this shit all started. So what happened last year was that was the end result. So what happened was I started to back on girls on paper. I started to get girlfriends on paper instead of like me just treating them like my friends, because that's how you get girls in general. So they took advantage of it. So I had common ground with girls, but these guys had materials, but I already proven to them I had game. And these niggas were the ones on paper, but you get one thing. These people were alpha males too. Really alpha males that weren't getting credit. And this guy, what if I told you that this guy was just like me if I decided to stay in the streets? The guy I was working for, the guy I was making Yu-Gi-Oh! AMVs for, he was the one getting in trouble behind the scene. But what if I told you that people knew that he was getting in trouble behind the scene, but they didn't care because of what I was doing with him? So what we did was literally, we discarded him because he was being immature, and we literally let him do him, and we're like, okay, we like your music, and we like Yu-Gi-Oh! So we don't care if you got kicked out of the club for sexually harassing your girl. You know, 99% of your audience is black, and we know how game works and all that. So when we hear some stupid shit about you, it's like, why didn't people make fun of me? It's because, bruh, what the fuck he did for you? They're focused on this shit. I don't think you understand how engaged like they're in this shit is why you're not being made fun of the way you think you get made fun of. You know, if you're in a gang and somebody showed you this anime music video shit, you'll get made fun of. But since it's front facing and shit, like literally, you have the excuse on. So what this guy did was literally, he couldn't let go of the hood nigga because he didn't want to get lost. And so what happened was this: he ended up with another guy who I got famous for the same thing, and they set me up to try to be a predator. But he sent a fat girl with really good, you know, like racks in order for like literally to bring me down to already saw career. What if I told you that these two girls literally kept my career, and if they knew that these guys weren't shit without me, but they never say it out loud? What if I told you that they literally took advantage of the fact that literally that I look at a pattern? What if they tried to abuse that pattern? What if they tried to like literally say, oh, this and this and this was so long? But what if I told you that they did that over to somebody who was higher mission? You see, I was a higher rank than them, but I had a mission. I had a long mission. What they had was a short mission to fuck around. I actually have a mission where you have to travel. There's a supreme difference. A supreme difference. And they thought that we were the same tier. I knew the power of laying low more than anyone, but what if I told you, if you're understanding like that Yu-Gi-Oh! AMV shit, if you're understanding why rappers wear bling, but all of a sudden a girl brings you your front facing that the rapper and their girlfriend in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Is childish, and that they're not anything because they don't contribute to her, and that she's more important to them on a universal campus? What if somebody sold you that dream without specifics? What if all of a sudden, because you keep on praising this without paying this is going to happen? Because what happens is I put women on hold and they forgot about women. They start thinking about my anime music videos. First off, I'm going to put that front facing. So like we weren't even a month. You know how Beavis and Butthead view music? What if Beavis and Butthead viewed AMVs? And I made literally a Beavis and Butthead country that talked about hood shit. Like I really like how you do this. And they wouldn't stop talking about it. Like there was one fucking subject really, and they were expanding. I like how he puts Ray from Teen Titans and Ray with Justice. I'm where I was just watching shit. Dude, I just got done watching that shit while I was watching it, but I can't stop fucking watching that shit. But one thing, it's not gonna make me watch it again, but it's gonna make me watch it later. I don't know why, because what I did was I paid attention to how really world I stated before, and I made you appreciate something to a point where I want you to put it down. When we live in a generation where you speak through things in order to move on because we can't get stuck. You get what I'm saying? We use can't get stuck as an excuse to not absorb something these days. So what happened is last year all those manipulation tactics happened and they got to suffer because all that understanding from the Yu-Gi-Oh shit got thrown out the window by this girl. And what happened is I made anime more famous like how I was supposed to. But what she brought me for like is yo, you're a fake. After a whole fucking 3 years of people knowing that I'm on welfare, people knowing that I'm this and that, but getting respect for rappers because of the main fact that they're educated about this country, they're educated about people. What would happen if we took the educated part out and put the propaganda in instead? So what if our propaganda became education? That's what happened last year. That's why we had COVID-19. It's the misinterpretation, how we blame politics for everything, like literally, and how we refuse to be political when we make the decision. This is how COVID fucking happened. So like last year, fucking, I had to stay inside, but it was cool. What happened was everything was smoother, so they started making fun of us. You see, what I learned in the hood that you don't learn in the suburbs is I don't have privileges. And so what happens is you get really dissed on if you're not doing shit after group home. So after group home, I was always doing something, but I wasn't getting paid. See, so I was getting more and more and more, but I hear we're dissed. I'm like, I just applied for school, and they said that literally I came too late because the classes were already filled. And so she had to apologize and stuff like that. So she hit me again, but when she saw my work constantly go up and up and up and up and up. I'm like, but in reality, what I learned is this cringe thing, this COVID thing, so you're telling me that I get to have all this still, but all I have to do is wear a mask. And so you're telling me that this is for niggas who absorb all this shit but will argue if you ask me to wear a mask. Okay, I wear a mask because I grew up in a hood. You get what I'm saying? I wear like so it's just one thing. And what happened was that one thing that I wear became a symbol of why a gang stalks you. I'm like, what's the difference? All I have to do is wear a mask. He's like, you don't understand what that does for somebody. Like what you're saying, you're making you're like, what's the deal? What's the mask gonna make a difference? That this is what the gang is asking when it's on the national news. Like, I don't gotta wear a mask like you, but that costs up. Let's think about that. Costs up spread throughout the entire year. But what's funny is because I know that, I already knew how hurt people were acting, like how uncomposed they are when you test them. So what I did was literally last year I learned how to like really lay low, and I blew up on YouTube. But guess what happened when I blew up on YouTube? I could tell that it was autistic, but I knew what to do with it because what happened was like I made a whole series of me talking about my life stories, but it would be so realistic because we all experience the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll do that and I'll tag somebody. I'm like, this story is inspired by this Coach Redfield. My sons blew up. So guess what happened? I wasn't able to read my sons, but everything was still established. Like I could get twice as much feedback as the size. Like I made a Ben video, and then Ben said what's up to me on the train. I'm like, dude, your video got me famous, but I couldn't see my subs. So it was like whatever, like this and that, and like and people. But guess what happened? They started attacking my entertainment. What they started doing is they started like making shit that was dry on purpose for me to look at, but just good enough for me to watch. He's like, and so what they did was they did this ticking time bomb. It's like, how long are you gonna wait until something happens for you? And guess what happened? I blew up on YouTube because what I did was I saw through your fucking game, and even though what you rely on, the concrete is what I don't care about. Like I'm used to these niggas saying jokes, and then last Halloween came along and I see something on the wall. I'm like, is that Sonic? He's like, huh? I'm like, literally, but these are fucking big ass freaking like literally freaking, you know where Serenu is, or some big ass fucking Crip Mexican gang, and literally, and they're all like literally, these guys look like they're dirty and shit. And I'm like, no, that guy on the ceiling. He's like, oh, Sonic. I'm like, is he really that lame? Because even if he is, I don't care. But I've seen shit in the hood where hood niggas act that pathetic because my drip is better. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, really, and I look at shit like that, and they're like, wear a mask, and I'm all like, okay, and they're like, COVID. You know, those people, those niggas are why we have COVID, because these are the people who we have on the inside. So what happened is, I knew that already, so nothing was surprising, but people were surprised. How is he having fun? And because I know these are who you guys are inside. And I knew that the entire time before the year starts. So this is what the year was going to be around. And so what happened was, I was not living the oxymoron, and they knew it wasn't, and what pissed them off is I'm going up this little bit of validation where they're doing everything to protect their reputation. So what happened was, they literally put their plan in motion. They thought that this was going to be the ultimate plan to make me a Bama provider, because they did this for everyone. And so they changed the world, and they said, Earth, adapt to it. So guess what happened? By the end of the year, we couldn't have the same people in jobs anymore, because people kept on using a boyfriend concept to get you in time. What did they do? They were pretending to be a fucking boyfriend, get their pants. What happened last year was each and every one of those guys got filed for sexual assault. And do you know why? Because they felt entitled and they were trying to bring me down. So they bring the boyfriend, girlfriend principle over real life. I'm like, dude, I already have 3 kids. You're trying to fool me with a girlfriend that I know you don't fuck, and then you get arrested right over it. Do you plan the same thing? You know I used to get laughed at for doing the same thing you do? And like over and over and over again. So what happened was, it wasn't about the gang, it was about the world, like really how it influenced that. Well, how is this all connected is we came to a common acceptance last year. Stop acting brand new. I like Naruto, you like Naruto. I like hood shit, yeah, I like hood shit with quality. Don't give me this stuff if I got Eminem and Cream. Like this and that. I want to think just like him because he's having fun and you're judging me. And that's how last year went. So guess what happened? They knew that they were wrong. That, oh, he's totally gonna go to their trap. Wait, how is he having fun? And if you actually know how I live in the hood, I'm like, I am used to having nothing, so I have anything is everything, and you roll off fucking the X extraordinary. So at the end of the year, we all agreed on something. This world's full of shit. COVID isn't chasing me from having fun. And so you know what the old popular guys did for me in high school? I'm gonna take this concept. I know nothing's wrong with it because it literally disrespects what I stand for. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna stop, but I know I have to stop because I have to keep this thing called an ego. And everyone, not just the gangs, all the popular girls all did this too. But what happened this year was already proving to you that I'm not the same person in junior high anymore, but you still implied it. You still implied it as reverse psychology. You did twice in a video game and thought I was gonna fall for it when I gave you that. This shit was so epic. What happened this year is we started off with like some girl made a bet, and these people on the street are part of my gang or literally telling them, telling her, I'm like, he's not gonna fall for that. It has to be physical. It has to be physical. It has to be physical. So what if I make sex physical and I make sex feel like shit? You know what he's gonna do? He's gonna accept it because he's already an intellectual. Because he's an intellectual, you're already chasing him and you're denying it because you know you get things easy. So what happens is he's like, so Lily. So I'm like, you know what? Talk to his boy. So talk to his boy and see what it's gonna take. And so Lily, what's gonna happen is, so what he did was Lily, she talked to her droid where a girl was sucking me up. And every time she was sucking me up, she was making noise. It pissed me off. Like it was an old girl who rejected me from high school. But Lily, every time I'll get sucked up, Lily, I'll be playing a video game and shit. And Lily, out here, pop, 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 pop. And you know what be annoying and shit like that? Is she did it in front of me, and Lily, the other person is like, you see what you're doing? He knows you're doing. Why is he recognizing me? He hears me just you know why? Because he's already fucking someone. And he views this as you not fucking him, but you being afraid to fuck him. Do you get what I'm saying? And did he laugh at you because you try to make it his expense? What's at his expense is the fact that he already gave up being an intellectual because he used nothing but intellect on you and you pulled this shit. So you know what she did? She saw that I was getting shit at my expense, but guess what happened? Because they were both commenting at the same time. I'm listening to both of them, but she doesn't even know what's going on. She's just in the motion of my dick. And so that she can't even hit me because of how good my dick is. And she doesn't understand. She's all like, how does he, and this guy's like, because you're comfortable. Because comfortable, this, that. What you did is you made him very uncomfortable. You never let him get comfortable. So when something like this happens, you know what you use every time you yell when he makes the pop sound on his dick? He views it as not only you being desperate, but here's the catch. He knows how it hits you. But what if I told you he doesn't know how it hits you on a grand scale? You see, you're thinking, I'm getting what I want, but how is she making it so complex? It's because every guy has lied to you to get in your pants by now. And that's how the year started. And see, Dr. Lily, well, there's this thing called sacrifice that other guys do and stuff like that. And when they sacrifice, they gain way more than him. And I just don't see how he has like fun doing this. And then he accepts this. Do you know why? Because he would live your life if there was legitimate. And so she's all like, oh, well, let him live my life, and I know he'll say it's better than last year, because last year he was pretending to be good, watching anime that didn't have any action, and that's why he thought he grew up, and he can't even see himself. They're playing his perception just like mine in high school. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna let you know, like, gang is trying the same thing you're trying, and they're thinking the same way. He's not thinking what you're thinking. It's so that you are looking at end result, and he's looking at you, looking at you, and going, you're like, yeah, I get, but guess what else is temporary? This operation, and that pissed her the fuck off, because that's how I view it the whole time. But you're looking at every single detail, and you're looking at why doesn't she realize it's not gonna get her what she wants. It's gonna hurt, but I recognize it's temporary. Why doesn't she recognize it's temporary? That's where I'm coming from. And then he's gonna break shit down like this. Not only is it only temporary, it's not dangerous. And you put yourself in danger just to fit in. You get what I'm saying? This is how he thinks, and this is how far off you are. But go ahead. He's like, he can't think that way. Then he won't make any sense because he won't have openings. Without openings, like, you can't grow. What if I told you somebody said that to him and he closed all the openings, and that's why you're in this operation? She's like, what? So what happened? They tested my theory. The same gang tried the same thing last year, but they tried the 8th grade principle where they trap you in something and they suffer hell from it, because what happens, they have this privilege the whole fucking time, and they had a time limit. So I already established, like, dominance. So I dealt with the gang whole last year, dominated them with ease, but they did what the normal shit did, and they gave them self-perspective when I was dominating. You see this shit right here, this little idea in your head? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna expand it, and then I'm gonna make it pop. It's called you versus me. I'm gonna inflate your ego, and then I'm gonna use something very fucking simple called a needle, and I'm gonna make you a balloon. And that's how the Armando fight started. Armando fight started the beginning of February this year. So what happened was, he was watching me watch Netflix shows, and literally, I was watching J.A. George. You know that one scene where he sneaks up to her house, and these niggas are stalking me to her door, and I'm commenting on it, knowing that they're commenting, so I'm telling them how to be a real gangster, and they're all like, is since you're already stalking me, I just got done watching Blues, like, see how relaxed he is. I know how you react. You play off my reaction. What happens if I just fight you first thing? So what I did was, I told him, each and every time, you're doing it wrong, if you're gonna fight me firsthand, because what you're doing is you're giving me time to think, and I think faster than you, and I think way smarter than you. So what I did was, I proved it that very year, that he kept on trying over and over again. I kept on hitting him like this. I'm like, yeah, he went up to a window, yeah, specifically to rape her. What else is he gonna do? And they're like, but we think of rape just the same shit. I'm a dad. What if I tell you I hang with people who rape every day, who literally do it for the right reason? It's like, that's impossible. So what if a girl's being a bitch? What if she's not making the bank for a buck? And what if you think that this thing that you convinced God in your head to forgive you for your actions that does wrongs, sees everything that you think that he just sees one thing? He sees her acting like a bitch, and you're asking, why is he letting her do that to her? And you know why? It's because you're willing to defend her, and you know how full of shit you are, and you don't take that consideration. You see this fucking action, you look at the action, because you don't gain yourself no action. So you guess what happened? This is a nigga who has a wife, and you're trying to tell him to bang. You're trying to tell him about bullets, and I'm trying to tell you about bondage. And you don't even know what the fuck bondage is. But you wear a hat, you wear thorns, you wear white keys and shit like that. And literally, I'm focused on bondage. Bondage is literally my second gear, and you're not even gonna spank me. And the girl never got what she wanted, so he kept on backing up a statement like, well, how do you say that? Well, I wanted you to show because I was a teenager. Everything I'm watching is around teenage shit, and your gang revolves around teenage shit. And I used to work for people who think like you're fucking gang. I keep on trying to tell you, because I come off as a square, you underestimate me. But what if I literally dress just like you or wore the strange strategy? You'll take me seriously, right? And that's what gives you hope every time, and that's why you're a fucking retard. You don't take in the information, you take how I look, and you take how I give you time to think. I give you time to think so I can make a plan too, and my plan is already concrete. And the crazy thing is, it had nothing to do with the war. It was an exhausting thing. So what they did was, hey, he has this shit where he has like little tools like literally that we use, but it's hella more advanced. Like imagine, like, you know how they treat you like a soldier? Imagine a car. This nigga's a car. Like literally, you think he ain't shit at first, but when he walks outside, he wears a flat ass outfit that you know has flaws, but you know it's a I can't talk about it. And this gang is so low tier, and I'm telling you, I can't even say it. And literally, what I'm trying to say, they're low tier because they don't understand what Rockefeller is. They see literally what Rockefeller is there are people who think about important shit while you think about literally the wrong shit. So they wear Skechers on their feet while you wear Jordans, and they're like, why would they wear Skechers while I wear Jordans? And I can't say that. So anyway, they saw me do kind of Rockefeller feet. What happens is, literally, there's my favorite mall that I used to go with Abby with, and so I went to that mall. It's a hella sick ass mall. So guess what happened? I went there, Christ, and because the gang was stalking me, they did everything I could. They shut down a store I used to go to, and this and that, but they couldn't get me. And so they're like, you want to have like things like this and that because this is what we don't have, and we're gonna take this shit away one by one until we get you to react. So what happened was this: they sent a girl to false security for rape. As soon as I got, what happened was they filled me up with fucking symbolism with people I don't fucking like that don't do shit, and they made me go outside, and I got mad, and I ended up talking to a bum girl when I got back inside. She tried to false accuse me, so what I do is the Asian nigga was on the phone trying to call security, so I look at the Asian nigga because I just left, and I look at him like, come on bro, I just left, I didn't even have to say it. And then literally, I go down on Bart and no cop chases me. You know why no cop chases me? Because it was a bum and a false accusation. And you're all like, be a pussy, look at how much shit you put me through, and then you hit me with that and you expect me to stay, and then you want me to do this thing called a challenge? I'm done with this shit. You tell me to accept the challenge after you hide. I'm done with this shit. So they kicked me out my favorite mall. But what if I told you that I had a revelation that I learned from gangs, that this mall really made me feel special? Well, what made you think that there wasn't something extra that pissed me off? What happened was there was a girl there that I really liked, and her name was Mohara. So what I was doing is I was drawing this anime Japanese manga, and literally I went to this Bestian girl and I asked her name. So I'm known for like macking on chase, gorilla, and doing this stuff, but I really love how you can be fun with girls, and this is the whole reason why I hate gays. They convinced that I gotta be tough this, gotta be tough this. So this girl I'm at the mall, I just like, hey, what's your name? I'm really nervous because like you look like a nice person and I love your name. I just wanna get your Instagram because I don't want to mess it up. She's like, yeah, totally this, that, Lily. So I'm like, yeah, so her name is Mohara, and I told her, yeah, I'm really obsessed with anime and stuff like Lily, and that sounds like a foreign name to me. So like that's the register. She was really fine. She was thick, you know, big butt. So that don't mean nothing because I could get weird for being nice. Did you know that she used to work at that mall and that she symbolized all the reason why I left the gang? And do you know that they did that shit at that mall? But guess what happened? They conditioned me to a point where I had to sacrifice because the last time I went, you took a store out, and this time you false accused me, and now I'm all like, now I can't see more horror, but guess what? I know more about girls than you have. I already slept with more horror. I already reared more horror. You know why? There's this thing called interest, buddy. You don't believe this. She took so much interest into that one interaction that she's stalking me, and you don't believe that she's stalking me? How I know she's stalking me? It's literally her Asian friend makes a fake account for me, and she acts like my favorite character. Right after you do this, right after I got home from the mall, I saw a fake Yumi Instagram account following me, and I'm like, because Mohara had an Asian friend of hers, name is Ira, and so after I got home from the mall, I got Instagram. I'm like, oh yeah, they tagged him. You see, I knew that was gonna happen the whole time, but you pissed me off because that was my favorite mall. But you gave me symbolism why I had to leave. But you know what? You abused that symbolism why I thought I had the chance to finally chill. And so I'm all like, well, this is what your pressing strategy does outside high school. You feel like you can put me in that situation just like high school. This is what it is outside high school, yet you still do it. And guess what happened after that? I got hit by a car, jumped by 3 people, and I beat all 3 of their asses with my bare hands. And guess what? I realized it was at that very moment that I told you this was what was going to happen the whole time. But you know what pissed me off the most? Is I want this to happen at a grand scale where I can kick more than just 3 of your asses. And you guys aren't even confident to get one girl. They tried that shit. So this is how literally your shit works in the real world. Mohara is how the real world works, and your twisted torment saying that I should treat her like shit, that I should view her like a piece of meat because you make her act like a piece of meat because you won't let her be free in society because you try to infect her with your damn swagger with your yells. I'm done. Guess what happened? Last year we had Heroes Rising. Pretty good, right? We had cringe, but we had non-stop praise for me. And like literally, I look at that, I'm like, yeah, Sonic level up, expo, this, that. It's like, you know you're in the now. I wouldn't be in the now if I didn't have women to come home to. And like, you know what? I would take advantage of that, and that's why you failed, this and that. But guess what happened? Literally, I watched My Hero, the movie, the last one 4 times in theaters. So guess what happened? The Demon Slayer I like less than I pretended to like, but I understood that I was more of a celebrity now than last year, so I had to watch it 5 times. And that's why that video was so good. I had to watch it 5 times in order to make that video. I tried to tell myself no, but no, I had to. And so guess what happened? I got hit by a car, got to do that Demon Slayer movie, had to watch the movie more times than once. So guess what I had to do? I went from literally dodging bullets to having to speak to a fucking droid, because all the fucking, and then nerds start giving me the same flack as the fucking gang because they don't subscribe for the same fucking philosophy. So what happened was literally, I proved my point that this year is shit because I'm allowing you to understand. I'm allowing you to party, and now you're taking advantage of it. You're trying to turn my party that's filled with beer and alcohol from actually earning shit into your playground. And literally, when you can't even afford your own fucking bag and shit. Well, literally, you buy a fucking outfit instead of recopying. I swear, I'm done with this. So guess what? They kept on doing shit like that, so that shit, you know what I told you? You know what your fucking problem is? Is that you want me to conform, you want me to go all out in your shit, so this year, I went all out on my shit. So what ended up happening is I ended up going to the beach with Uncle David, and Uncle David's my fucking favorite uncle because he brought Ray. If you don't know, Ray is my cousin Olivia's husband. So like literally it's crazy as fuck, and guess what? They have a son named Benjamin, and I do this thing called the Lost World Universe, where I used to always watch like literally Everybody Loves Raymond with my grandma. That's all connected. It's a coincidence, yeah, but it's connected by a universe. You see what you are is you're a particle, and there are pieces of you throughout the universe, but they're not magnetic. I think they have magnetic materials, but like really what there is like if you do something a lot, what if I tell you that those materials come closer to you the more you work hard? So like you know how like the world turns, what happens to the things that you want like turn closer and closer and closer to you until the point they become their own inner circle. And so what happened was this, like literally, so this year I told you, it's like, well, isn't it good because really and what they did, they paid off my success and they tried to like live in the shit that I created. And I'm like, no, you're infecting it. It's like leave, because what pissed them off is that the OG who sent me here left me in this situation where I can dodge bullets knowing that I'm strong enough to handle them, and they are all like, man, I know that, but like I still don't get why would he leave you here, because my OG would never leave me here without him because you rely on him to survive. And guess what happened? I stopped listening to them, and they tried to say, so which year is better? I'm like, last year. Before the year even ended, I won halfway through, and literally, what happened is this year turned out better because I stopped making the bet halfway, and I started doing things my own way. So I started making beat after beat after beat for you know what purpose, and I started going all out, like everything, like literally, I started making song after song, I started watching movies, I started expanding, because I was already responsible adult last year, where I learned how to do martial arts last year, I learned how to do this and that last year, so like, it was a revelation last year, so they tried to make fun of the shit that I created. The world that I created with Shinobi Striker, yeah, that's because of me. And you're trying to like make fun of that. I'm like, no, this is how the human mind works. You can't fuck with this. You're trying to say Shinobi Striker is why the world is bad. I'm done. Well, we can't do Shinobi Striker. You see? You feel that energy? That's Shinobi Striker talking. I'm part of Shinobi Striker. I don't give a fuck about what you say. So you know what I did? I went all out, and that is shit that looks like that. Because that is my style, because that's how it originated. So I started making beats, and you know what I did with that game? I started applying beats to that, and I made interactive. And now, it's not just a hobby. It's not just my job. It became a sport. And it pissed the game off at the end, because how it became a sport was going all out into something where I'm not giving into your fucking shit. And so when everybody's interacting along, they're trying to play this and that, and this and that. So it went to them having one little fucking crack to them falling through the fucking ceiling. And it really was devastating. And the whole moral of that was really, that's why 8th grade was better than your stupid ass sophomore year in high school. From the right there, so you know, after you look at my channel, it went 8th grade, freshman year, gaslighting, then sophomore year, a whole bunch of shit, and now we have this. Do you get what I'm saying? And so guess what happened? You were probably a sophomore year principal when this is already 8th grade, and you got stomped. You got stomped because what you did was you took advantage of the fact that I couldn't adapt because you stopped trying in order to me to lose motivation. But what you did was, instead of you doing the flashy tricks in your fucking voice, well, I learned the trick. I learned how to fight. I learned how to do this, that, but guess what? I didn't have the tools to get your Preston Jordans. I didn't have fucking Preston Vikings. I didn't have the information. I didn't have the music that you fucking listen to. Guess what now? You stop playing the game that you showed me I have to play, and you rely on those Jordans alone, and so this is where those Jordans got you. You have to walk those motherfuckers on feet with no fucking car because you fucked up your opportunity to get one. And this is the whole meaning of this. So this is literally fucking, if you want, this year is like 8th grade, so this year played out like 8th grade because I went all out in this year, just like I went in 8th grade, because what pissed me off is like literally what happened when I used to complain about pussy, and then literally once I got pussy, I couldn't get friends, I couldn't get resources, so it was one thing or the other. So I was living with year after year after year where pussy isn't even surprising me. So guess what pussy did for me today? My pussy that they kept on criticizing will never turn to a relationship, because you put us through shit, you put us through struggles. So all the activities that we share became a sport because you kept on fucking pushing your way, and I told you your way is corrupt, and once I buried it, I created a highway. I'm done. So literally fucking, you don't understand. So now that my girls are involved, now there's no fucking room for you. Now we're interacting, now we're playing video games, now we're damn near making music together, we're definitely dancing together, we're definitely grinding on each other, we're definitely doing this and that. You know, now we're interactive where we're in, because you know why? I write most of you out, and they noticed that, and you didn't. So the you I write out, I make sure they had time to move in. You get it? When things calm down, you start to post slowly after the car accident. This is 8th grade versus sophomore year, and the victory goes to Almighty 8th grade.